Here's your China brief, a look at what's making headlines in national newspapers and online. Well, the Securities Times cites the National Development Reform Commission, or NDRC, saying the Chinese government is preparing to reveal the first batch of projects funded by the long-term special bonds. China first started selling the notes last Friday, and Beijing plans to issue those special bonds for several consecutive years. Meanwhile, Shanghai Security News says Premier Li Qiang has called on the financial sector to serve the real economy. Vice Premier He Lifeng also asking officials to prevent and control risks in sectors such as property and local government debt.
Yeah, meanwhile, then when you look at the People's Daily, that's the Communist Party's official mouthpiece here, has, devoted quite some real estate here, an entire page to criticizing Taiwan's new leader, Lai Ching-te, and suggestions of the island's independence. Now, one of the articles quotes Foreign Minister Wang Yi, describing Taiwan's independence activities as being the greatest threat to peace in the Taiwan Strait. Now, speaking of Taiwan, it's also been a very hot topic across Chinese social media this morning, 2 days certainly after that inauguration. So let's bring Minmin Low, our China correspondent, to bring us full circle and really these conversations. What reactions are you seeing so far?
Well, I think the timing is very interesting because on Inauguration Day, we actually didn't see very extensive coverage of the ceremony itself on Chinese media. And in fact, Chinese social media, Weibo, had censored several hashtags mentioning that event. So I have friends living in China. They tell me that their local friends, many of them were not even aware that this was taking place. But then several days later, we now see this deluge of articles criticizing Lai Ching-te on Chinese state media. One of the most outspoken is, of course, the Foreign Minister Wang Yi, calling Lai Ching-te scandalous and a disgrace for betraying his nation and his ancestors, saying that this reunification of the motherland is unstoppable. That's, of course, after Lai had made reference in his speech that he's willing to engage with China, but on an equal basis, with neither side being subordinate to the other. But, of course, this is something that is unacceptable to China. The China State Council had said that Lai is full of lies and deception, that he is trying to pursue independence with the help of foreign forces.
Steve, I'll bring you in here. Really, as a part of the conversation, you literally just got off a flight last night to cover this story, of course, in Taiwan as well. Talk to us about context, big picture, and, of course, the protest we're seeing.
Well, sure. I think what we're seeing is an attempt by the opposition, Kuomintang, the KMT, to use their one-seat majority in the legislative yuan to perhaps, dare I say, undermine the opening days of Lai Ching-te's presidency. Of course, he is more of an advocate of de facto independence, and that's where Beijing was picking up on what Minmin just said, that his speech, now they're calling it the May 20th speech, that essentially delineated the lines between independence and non-independence, and he basically, his tone of his speech, according to Beijing, was more in line with past statements from him, which he has moderated, but more along the independence theme. So in these protests, they're coming from DPP members as well, because they see the KMT, the two opposition parties, the KMT and the TPP, kind of teaming up in the legislative yuan to kind of undermine any mandate that Lai Ching-te might have in the opening days of his administration.